Sorry it's been so long since I've been here, guys. We were all real busy, and then I didn't hear that we were having a show until the show was already going on last week. And
It's
it
not
was my mistake. Um,
it's
I
not
wasn't
your
checking.
fault. That day it was Ben, his son's birthday, and that's why his voicemail was full. People calling to wish happy birthday. So I was freaking out for no reason. But if I love you, and if you died, I'd kill you. So there's that.
I get it. Uh,
We
uh,
got some good stuff for tonight. Welcome, Smitty, of course. Smitty is definitely one of the best humans. Oh, they can hear you now. That's good.
yeah, they couldn't hear us before.
No,
Yes, thanks,
Lord.
Natchan, for letting us know. Sorry, we were just talking. All right, yeah. Hi, guys, we're here. Nacha could hear us. You missed all the wisecrack jokes, and I introduced Christy as my wonderful, beautiful co-host. She did the same for me, and then I introduced Nacha as the man behind the curtain, the man in the inner tabernacle. And I, you missed me struggle with that word even more. Whose glory is so great that we can't even see it, but we can hear him, even though you can't. I needed to get that back in there because I was really proud of it. Anyways,
Lay ops upon him would mean imminent death. You would just,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Say it again because I want to hear it.
Our wonderful Nacha, our Lord and Savior, and if we were to lay eyes upon him, we would.
No, but you had a cool word for it. What was it?
Oh, did I? Look at that.
Yeah, I thought you just
I
said it's fine. I'll just back it up
the
when we have.
banter has gone away.
Oh God. All right, rough start, but that's okay. We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna bring it back with the most happiest of stories. Let's talk about Israel and Gaza and America.
Let's do this. Yes.
Let's
Okay.
let's do this.
Let's
Um,
do this.
any premise that we want to start with?
I
Because
kind of
I don't know. It's like okay, no, I mean we're basically starting with with where we are. So we'll start here, Nacha. After I sneeze. Okay.
nice.
That won't happen again. Uh, um,
Come
come what? Come on,
goes
what?
in, goes in tight, comes out wet.
All right. So the U.S. Senate on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, passed a bill. It was a great bill. It was the most glorious bill that's ever been passed. Um, was that my Biden impression or my Trump impression? Um, passed was I know that was passed a 95 billion foreign aid package aimed at bolstering support for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. And they want my email. No, CNN. Ending months of legislative wrangling amongst lawmakers over extending help to the American allies. So, before we move on, let me just summarize that one sentence. We passed a $95 billion foreign aid package to support Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. So
Matt, Matt,
I
how
have,
are how are, how are we going to pay for it?
how are we going to pay for it? Americans don't want to spend their taxes on not American stuff. I just have so much to say about this. I don't know where to start. I'm just going to read the next two sentences. The package, which was passed on a 79 to 18 bipartisan vote. They did it on a boat. On a boat, motherfuckers, on a combined four bills approved by the U.S. House on Saturday. It allotted nearly 61 billion for Ukraine, and more than 26 billion for Israel, and more than 8 billion for countries in the Indo-Pacific region. I'm so happy. Skipping one thing, but oh no, we can't skip that. The measure also includes a provision that could result in TikTok being banned from American app stores unless the Chinese parent company, ByteDance, sells the video sharing platform within 9 months. Oh, they gave us so much time. Oh, and it's worth so like I think it's over $200 billion. So only the richest motherfuckers in America can afford to buy it. You know, ones that already own way too fucking much in Silicon Valley, or someone who owns way too much fucking much who lives somewhere and will absolutely bow down to whatever the US government alphabet company administration that will want to mine our data from it. So no matter what, it's great. There's no downside to that. Hold on. There's no downside because we're really worried about China getting all of our information. So we want to make sure that a private company in the US and the US government gets more of our information instead.
They
Because the
already have,
Chinese can do so much with our data, way
they
more than
they
American
to
could do with
get rid of it, right? Like a year and a half ago, they had to stop going. It like nothing goes to China. It's going through like subsidiary here in the United States. So it's they've already done what they needed to do. It's it's so shitty. It's so shitty.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
The the funding passed with the support of 46 Democrats, 31 Republicans, and 2 independents. Following hours of speeches by sneezes and yawns, and also by senators, 2 Democrats, 15 Republicans, and 1 independent opposed it, all for various reasons. Rand Paul, Tim Scott, and Tommy Tuberville didn't vote. Sherrod Brown from my state voted yes. Still like him more than most people in our state, but that was shitty. Who we got in Florida, Christy?
Yeah.
We got we got Rubio. Who else do we have from your state?
Rhonda Santis, which will be
Oh
his
yeah.
name for.
Well, he's not in the Senate though, right?
Not in the
He's just the
Senate.
governor.
Yeah, just the
Looking for
governor.
your other
He thinks
senator.
he's the president of Florida.
Huh?
He believes that he is the president of Florida.
I mean, oh, Scott. Who's
What?
the other Scott? Republican.
His name is
He,
Rick Scott.
Rick Scott. He voted no.
Yeah, who knows that guy? He is guilty of committing the biggest Medicare fraud in the history of our country.
Oh yes, that Rick Scott.
That Rick Scott.
Yeah, Rick Scott. Okay, so anyways, luckily that was like the whole story right there. Um, honestly, all of our viewers pay attention. They know what's going on. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. That this is fucked. This is stupid. This is so.
Authoritarianism.
Huh?
It's authoritarianism.
That's yeah. That's part of it. That's yeah. It's because what around 80% of the country doesn't want this.
No, it's the most popular social media app in the country, let alone
Oh yeah,
most.
as far as TikTok goes, but I mean all the bills that passed,
Right.
like
No, yeah,
all of it.
yeah. I'm gonna touch on a couple of them as well. Yeah, it's just
Right.
they're losing. They've lost the argument. They've lost the rhetoric. They've lost, and the only thing that they can do instead of reassessing and being a democracy where the majority of the country is and saying, let me learn from them and let me be a democratic leader, they said, yeah, we lost, let's shut that shit down, let's ban it, let's do the biggest cancel culture there is.
Yeah, ban TikTok. I mean, it's foreign. They're probably mining our
No,
information for the Chinese government. So,
Matt, not it anymore. Like I'm
huh?
serious. If anyone's curious about the information, it's like 2 years ago because of this because of China,
China, yeah.
TikTok, the United States, it is a separate country or company, and because of that, and because of our government, they have to the company that gets all of that data is an American company that already existed here. It doesn't there. It's its own bite dance. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. That whole
Well,
of China. Mm-mm.
I see what you're saying, but Christy, you're really missing a really big piece of this. But China.
Yeah, I mean, but Hamas, but China. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
yeah,
be repeating that a lot tonight. Um, and also with the TikTok thing, but China.
right.
I feel like I needed to say that again. Did I say it enough? But China. Um,
No.
it is stunning how much our representatives of this democracy don't give a shit
Right.
what we want. And honestly, they haven't lost. This is them winning. I would like to remind everyone, this is them winning in multiple ways. Just
But
this
they're
whole
only
year.
because
This,
they lost. They lost.
oh yeah,
You know.
yeah. It doesn't matter if you lose an argument if you have the biggest stick in the room and
Yeah.
you're willing to use it.
Or you can
Um,
buy stick in the room.
yeah, or if you could buy the biggest stick in the room, basically.
I
Um,
just want to that
yeah,
Facebook, in charge of Instagram and Twitter, and we all know about who that is.
yeah.
There are lobbying groups, if you want to say, lobbyists who have been lobbying Congress for a ban of TikTok. Why do you think Facebook would do that? Because the younger generations have moved. My daughter, they use my youngest Isabel, they use Facebook for family.
Right. It's an
TikTok is,
investment.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I need a tissue, so I'll be right back. I'll let you talk for a minute.
Okay. Facebook isn't going anywhere. They just want to be like you said, the biggest stick in the room, and they have the money to lobby to help push this. This isn't my opinion. This has been, they said the thing out loud that it isn't a left or right problem in the United States. And now I am talking about the Israeli government. It is not a left or right thing. It is not a conservative or liberal leftist thing. Even not that there's a big leftist situation in this country. There are, but just not enough. It is a young and old, and their problem is with 35 to 40, 40 being the max and under, uh, because they have access to right here all the information you need. They do not watch media. They do not get the information from these talking heads who have been able to manufacture consent every time. I've been going over the Iraq war right after 9/11 and the manufacturing consent that went on there, and the people who lost their jobs because they said they didn't do anything to us. What are we doing? that was horrible. And now looking back, we all agree, like consensus is those
Yeah.
people were right and we were wrong and we had it wrong. Even now, with what's happening now, the gaslighting is like squared. It's billion times over what we went through for Iraq with the Congress, people coming in to say there's babies in incubators and the whole story is nothing compared to what we're seeing right now. And we're seeing this right now with these that we didn't have and access to. I can watch news in any country I want right now. And we didn't have that now. And it's like Biden has blinders, like he is a Clydesdale for Budweiser Bush, Anheuser-Busch. He only sees in front of him. And because he feels this way, he thinks this way, these are his opinions, and who is surrounding him also yes man him about these things. It doesn't matter that this is happening over here, that disproves those things, because that's not in his world. It's just so infuriating. It's so infuriating. 40 years and under, the massive is 35 and under, that they've lost that entire generation. And banning TikTok, if they think that's going to help them, these kids know how to get a VPN. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It is, yeah, it's like, oh, you have information that you can show is factual and it goes against what we're trying to tell you is the national rhetoric. Well, we'll ban the site that you get that information from. When Israel just banned Al Jazeera, the whole world was pissed off. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Now we're going to do the same thing. I mean, yes, it's not a news site, but it's just maddening. And I really actually, I take offense to these kids do not understand that they shouldn't get their news from TikTok. They're not getting their news from TikTok. They might follow someone who covers news from a reputable source, and then they are able to go see it and then discuss it, when before it would be the 5 o'clock news, the 10 o'clock news, and that was it. If you didn't read newspapers from other cities, let's say you lived in Austin, Texas, if you didn't read the New York Times and the LA Times, these big newspapers, you only read local, you were literally having manufacturing consent by definition, and that's not reality anymore. It just isn't. And they need to wrap their mind around it, because there's, oh, buddy. I mean, I am ashamed and pissed and irate and disgusted and just, did I say ashamed? Is just fucking embarrassing to see these press conferences. Atrocities and war crimes have happened. Here is the news about it. Here's how we know it happened. Here are the people that were there. And then a press conference happens and serious journalists ask our leadership, Biden's leadership, what's his name, Blinken, and these, they will look right at these journalists. And recently I heard from in the press room that as of right now, Israel hasn't committed any humanitarian, any crimes against humanity or war crime. As of right now, we don't have that information, because if they say they have, then we have the LEAH law. They cannot, per our laws, send them any military aid as far as weapons or any aid in their slaughter. So they have to look directly in these journalists' eyes and say, no, there aren't. And that journalist clapped back. He wanted to confirm he just heard that. So you're saying no war crimes. Israel has committed no war crimes. And they literally said, no, as of right now, we don't have any information that would show that they do. And whenever they say, well, what about this specifically, whether it's mass graves or Hind, that little girl that got slaughtered in her car, that video, to hear, oh, well, as of right now, we're asking questions. We're, yes, we're concerned, and we're letting Israel investigate. That's like knocking on Jeffrey Dahmer's door saying, we think there's bodies in your house, and him saying, let me go look. And you say, okay, and you wait. And then him coming back out saying, no, I don't. Like, are you kidding me? They would never let Putin do that. They would never let anyone in South or Central America do that.
Only our friends and allies.
It's maddening. It's the upside down. It's like the fascist upside down.
Yeah. To wrap this up so we can continue on in the direction that we should, I just want to point out, and I just want to reread again what we started with. The U.S. Senate on Tuesday passed a $95 billion foreign aid package aimed at bolstering support for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, ending months of legislative wrangling amongst lawmakers for extending help to the American allies. The package was passed on a 79 to 18 bipartisan vote. Combined, 4 bills approved by the U.S. House on Saturday that allotted $61 billion for Ukraine, $26 billion for Israel, and $8 billion for other countries in the Indo-Pacific region. This also could result in a TikTok ban in the next 9 months. So I wanted to just reread it and reiterate why I wanted to call this section U.S. Interests and Priorities. This is what the powers that be in our country want to spend money on. And that aid can come in the form of weapons, defensive weapons, that private companies, U.S. companies, get that money to pay for those weapons. And in previous eras, aid and military support has gone to guard poppy fields in the Middle East for private companies. That, as far as I know, is not happening this time. But that's where our interests lie. The priorities right now are our outpost, of which is Israel, in the Middle East, halfway around the world. I'm not, I'm forgetting the word, not just a pacifist, but Christy, what's the word? We want to be closed off from everything in our own little bubble as a country. What's the word?
Isolationist?
And yeah, I'm not an insulationist. I'm not. But we're not the cops of the world. And we need to stop asking or acting like we are. This is on our dime, the taxpayers. And as much as I have said in the past, and I know I bring this one up a lot, but I hope people see why isolation. Thank you, Smitty, as well. When I did my piece on the Pennsylvania diocese, the 7 of them, I believe, that were not just hiding child rape and sexual assault charges all over the place in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. They were trading kids. They were like, It sounds like baseball cards. No, just their stats. They were sharing the ones that they had groomed with other um, pedophiles,
Mm.
and that's terrible, right? Those mistakes, those terrible things are on those people who committed those atrocities.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that was systematic about it is that the Catholic Church tried to handle it themselves, put them through their own rehabilitation courses, or just move them away. And they used the money from tithes from Catholics in the pews. And those people, not knowing what their money what was going to, I tried to make it clear, like, I don't blame you for these terrible things that have happened. If you didn't know that, one, it was happening, two, your church is likely partaking in this, because it seems to be in every diocese,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of abuse or cover up, and then the systematic use of money to keep it hush hush, therefore making the problem worse. I didn't blame anyone up until that point. Until you see my video or reports from it, from here on out, it is your fault. It is like, I blame you personally if you continue to donate money and fill the pews, like, without change, without real change, at least. And that's what I see here, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. It's systematic.
every Israeli who doesn't really get what's going on, or didn't understand the taunting that went on to make October 7th happen, I don't necessarily blame them. As Americans, like, we still, like, even after Afghanistan and seeing our money go towards these atrocities now, like, you can hardly blame people. I still don't even necessarily blame our taxpayers, or taxpayers in, like, Israel, but you can't stand up for Israel as a nation state, as a government, seeing what their government is doing, right? I can't support our troops if we're in an unjust war. I can be like, well, yeah, I want to support our men and women, but also I want to teach them what uh conscious, or what's the word I'm looking for? Abby Martin's husband uses it. Gosh, I forget the term, but where you can, a conscientious objector,
Yes.
right? Um, because we don't spend enough money on veteran care to pay for the mental help that they need for doing terrible things, even things that are maybe not good, right? If you're fighting some kind of just war, we don't even take care of our veterans enough for them to do that
Right.
for us, let alone doing something that is not just unjust, it's just an atrocity,
They had to
a
fight.
genocide.
Veterans fight for health care. John Stewart had to get involved.
Yeah. And it's just not enough. We don't pay these people enough, um,
No.
to send them to do terrible things, whether they understand it or not. But
Mm.
if they do these terrible things, they deserve some blame. If the IDF is like, hey, if there's is there a family in that building, or in that apartment building? If you're wondering, you shouldn't listen to your commanding officer, or else you are also liable for what happens. Just following orders, we don't accept that as a society. I'm not going to say as a government, but we don't accept that looking back at our history books when the Nazis said, I was just following orders. We just don't. I'm really disgusted that one, we can't pay for help here at home, like to help our veterans, for one, including veterans who are taking a flotilla as we speak to go help thousands. But also just $60 billion, $60 billion to end homelessness in this country. Maybe spend a couple $100 billion on healthcare, nationalizing our healthcare, not just to give the government more control, but to save us money in general, to get out of underneath Saudi Arabia's boot and nationalize our own oil and say, hey, fuck you, oil companies. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, or fuck you. I really don't care which one. You're like, hey, you can keep this small fortune, but the people own the rest of the oil because it's a part of our land and our American government, and Alaska does it. When we just make that part of our taxes, and we get to democratize a little bit. There wouldn't be a lot at the start. How we use and sell our oil, we use as much as we sell. Well, we import as much as we export. We did this on a previous show where I showed it. But we don't have to keep having terrible friends when we have the resources here. But that's not our priority. And expanding our empire is in our interests. So we need to keep these terrible friends so we can expand our influence across the globe. And for what? So private companies here can be that expansion of the empire, not us ourselves. I don't want to be a part of an expansion of our empire. What I do want myself to be clear, I want to expand our empire to every US territory and give them an option to become a state, or let them the fuck go. What if Russia takes them? What if China takes them? I don't give a fuck. If we're not going to treat our territories as states and their people as citizens, we shouldn't have control over them, because it's just greedy. Call it a moral argument if you want. I'll argue it from that stance, or an economic one. Like, if we can't take care of their economy, we shouldn't be exploiting it. It's this is what our interests are. This is what our priorities are. Is expanding empire and hanging out with who we assume are the cool kids, but those cool kids are just bullies. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. It's disgusting. It's frustrating. I wish we had better interests. I wish we had better friends as a nation. And I'm really getting sick of, as we transition to Gaza here in a moment, I'm really getting sick of Israel has the right to defend itself. Because
Yes.
what?
Yeah. Defend themselves from what?
Right.
5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, elderly, homes, hospitals,
Not
college, like
not even because yeah, from hospitals, from children. look, there's a difference, and I really, if you guys want to share this around a little bit, I feel like I need to get involved a little bit. Because I'm gonna go ahead and call someone out on our channel, on our tiny little channel that doesn't matter much. Armin Navabi is really disgusting me right now.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, because for the most part, he's a pretty cool, smart guy.
Very.
But if I hear him even use this phrase of Israel has the right to defend itself, yet you don't defend yourself outside of your country. That's retribution. And to a point, that can be okay. We're way past that point.
We are.
But if you want to say that they have the right to defend themselves, I do agree. But
Yeah.
this isn't
My counter to that is Palestinians have the right to defend themselves. And that's
absolutely
not
right.
they're not allowed to have a military, an airport, any of that stuff.
Right, but I mean, even if they don't have a country or state or a military, individuals have the right to defend themselves, right? That's just like a human right. It doesn't matter what your state and statehood is, because
They
a lot
can't
of Palestinians just don't have a state. They're stateless. That happened a few years back. Um,
have
it doesn't matter. It's not defense. You can't use the argument if it's just invalid. It's an invalid argument because they aren't defending themselves.
yes.
Iron Dome is
No,
defense.
there aren't Palestinians aren't allowed to have tents because the pipes or poles or the structure of the tent could possibly be used for weapons. They couldn't have peaches because the pits, they couldn't have plums because the pits could be used as projectiles. So no, they do not have the right to defend themselves. Yeah, it's yeah, my presentation, my topic tonight is also, I'm going to touch on quite a few of these things as well.
Please take it away. I just wanted to make sure I got that little thing in because it's driving me nuts that people keep saying Israel has the right to defend itself. It does. And one more hot take for everyone. And I would love to fight anyone on this. I have come to the conclusion that does Israel have the right to exist? My answer is define Israel. Because if it's a state for the Jewish people, I disagree.
I don't, no country actually has a right to exist. People have a right to exist.
Right. Jewish people can exist anywhere, and I hope that they do. It's just I don't believe in any
An ethno state
ethno
of any.
state at all. Right?
Mm-mm.
That's like saying the KKK has the right to its own country, and it doesn't. I super duper don't agree with that. So if it sounds anti-Semitic, I assure you it's not. You're stupid. Is one. Two, it's just ethno states. I don't agree with. I don't agree with a Palestinian state. I don't.
Right.
I
Right.
agree with states like nations that have peoples, but if it's going to become a theocracy or an ethno state, I'm against it because I'm an atheist, one, and two, I'm a humanist. I do see color, but I know that different races aren't actually different species. So I fucking get that. So ethno states don't have a right to exist. Um, nation states have as much right as any other nation state, which is I don't know that ebbs and flows, my friends. Yeah, and Palestinians are Semitic. Thank you, Smitty. First time I heard that the last couple of months, I was just like, oh fuck yeah, we don't even fucking talk about that.
Right.
I was fucking thrown through a loop. Like the Overton window is broken. It's a broken window here. But again, I need to stop talking so Christy can go on.
To your point, the right to defend themselves, that to me makes my stomach turn immediately, as well as human shields. It's morally, wholly unacceptable. It's disgusting. Let's just make it smaller. There's a bank. It's being robbed. There's 20 robbers. There's one hostage inside. We don't bomb the bank. Like, are you kidding me? Any kind of hostage situation, I don't care if they have the innocent civilians, the hostages, in front of them and they're holding them to protect them as a literal human shield from the cops. The cops aren't going to shoot through that person to kill them. Yes, Matt.
I have a question. What if there's a bunch of terrorists in the bank?
Oh man.
And I mean there's still hostages, but there's terrorists in it. Can we bomb it then?
Nope.
Is that good? Okay, hold on. All right, hold on. Let me change my argument. What if we get all of the good guys out? Then can we bomb it?
No.
What's the problem with that?
It's civilian infrastructure and it's morally corrupt.
Okay, well,
I mean,
hold on. What if we get the terrorists out? What if we
yeah,
get the terrorists out? Then can we bomb it if there's no one inside?
let's see. We have a really good
It's
point
still
here.
human infrastructure.
We have
If
from Nacha.
it's an empty building.
Nacha says change bank to plane, then a raid instead of bombing it. It happened and the cops killed many of the civilian hostages. I mean, these things do happen.
Yeah.
I don't condone that either. I think that everything, every step, every process should be, done to take them and make them pay for their crimes. I mean, I understand that
And they
things
should
like
have been
that.
for their actions. Gotcha. I'm good.
That's
I'm
why we
glad
have
you worked.
these forces for these specific type of scenarios.
Yeah. This.
It's just.
Can I talk again for just a minute? I'm so sorry, Christy. This is driving me fucking mad. Fucking insane. Because where did we all like fucking Christy, where did we fucking meet? Where did we meet?
Right here.
No. Online.
Yeah, online. That's what I mean. Right here.
Yeah.
Online.
But like where? Like, do you remember the channel? I think I do. The Non Sequitur Show.
Oh, definitely.
Pretty
Okay,
sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Why were we on the fucking Non Sequitur Show?
To
There were
challenge
so many of them. What?
to challenge beliefs and ideas that we had, to listen to discuss and debate ideas and beliefs.
Which is like philosophy and ethics, right? That's one of the reasons why we hate the fucking Bible. That's why we hate the Quran, because of all these moral reasons. And then when we see nations do stuff, or militaries, even through history sometimes, we celebrate the thickest shit sometimes. And it's maddening because we want to do better. That's what makes leftists and the atheist community get laughed at so much sometimes, because our opponents say, well, you just want to live in some utopia? Well, fuck yeah, that'd be great. Can we not aim for that? I know that we're probably not going to get it, but this is like fucking ethics 101. 101. You don't blow up human infrastructure. You don't kill hostages. We agreed so long ago when we're all like baby philosophers. Oh, this ethics thing, this makes sense. This is this is what I need to care about is the good versus evil. So some people get away from it and they get bored with it, or they think it's not realistic enough. But I still give a fuck about it because it's 101.
I
It's
agree.
baby town frolics. It's just so simple. You don't kill civilians because it's bad. So then when we see this happen over and over again and we say, hey, they shouldn't do that. Well, they're trying really hard and they said sorry. Cool. Can we still say that was bad? And we hiccup. Like we we stutter. We're like bad? Bad? I don't know. They're defending themselves. It's war. It's messy. Yeah, but it's still bad though, right? It's ethics 101.
Right. We should get caught trying.
Yeah, so we should get caught trying. You want to live in a having a piss. No, I've been struggling with this for months. Did we even get to talk about the dude here on the show that lit himself on fire?
Well, the Trump one.
No, the first one. No, I think we did. We did actually get to talk about. I've been struggling with that ever since, and this is I've been struggling not doing the show because dude was right to lose his mind and set himself on fire because the world's broken. He feels insane because the world's insane. And everyone's walking around like nothing's fucking wrong because we lost our morality, like ethics 101. No one fucking knows what it is anymore.
Yeah, his name is Bushnell, and he's the one who said, when you think back to the Vietnam War or the Holocaust or any of these major human fuck ups, you think, I would have done this, or I would have, stood up and I would have protested and I would have. And he said, whatever you think you would do if a genocide was happening, you're doing it right now.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
agree. We should learn. Uh, we should learn from and do better. Be better. That's like why so many of us have started channels. That's why we describe ourselves as humanists. That's why we have this channel, was to try to help people and be a better standard than all
And
these
under
crazy religious people who want blood. Not all religious people, but the crazy ones who want blood, who want the end times to come next fucking week because they say, "Oh, look at all this anti-Semitism and stuff that's happened. And look how we live in a fallen world. That's just a sign that Jesus is going to come back. It's going to come back. And you know what? He's going to kill all those Jews that we're defending, anyways. And then there will be peace on earth." Oh, and they call all the atheists too. It's psychotic
it is.
that they want that.
And it's not just the Christian Zionists here. There are fundamentalists in Israel who, in their ideology, their Messiah will come, and the rest of the world, the non-Jews, will be their slaves. And then our Christian Zionists and their ideology, the Lord will come, and they will have to convert or be annihilated. And if that's not anti-Semitism, I don't know what is. That's just crazy.
And
It's
it's mentally insane. And that's one reason why I'm particularly so mad at Armin Navabi because he knows how insane Islam is, and
Yeah.
like we're supposed to be better than that. We strive to be better than that. So when he's sticking up for Zionists and he says he's a Zionist, you're for
I
a theocratic ethno state? Are you kidding me? Because like, why the fuck are
I
you doing what you're doing?
it's
Like, it's, why are you doing what you're doing?
like, no, I
Atheists are my ass.
here
Um,
and it for him. I mean, always you guys show up to Atheist Republic. We have a great time, and we did. We talked about all kinds of stuff,
they've done
and
so much great work. They really dropped the ball on this one. You
I
need to
haven't.
read the mission statement. So I'm gonna try my best to shut up so Christy can go through her story. I'm so sorry that I'm so angry.
The one that's limited. Like
I
that's
know I
so
have so much to do in the morning. I know.
well, you have a tribe. Okay, guys, ready? Okay. For over 6 months, the media has been working in overdrive to manufacture consent of the slaughter in Gaza by Israel against the Palestinians, all the while endorsing unsubstantiated, then disproven stories like the 40 beheaded babies, mass rape on October 7th, Hamas headquarters under now completely destroyed hospitals. New York Times' own internal memo revealed how their own journalists, are discouraged from using words like genocide, ethnic cleansing, occupied territories, refugee camps, and even the word Palestine at the so-called liberal New York Times. The Intercept in January showed the world that Palestinians were mentioned less and less in the news the more the death toll mounted. The more it rose, the less they were even mentioned. Words like slaughter and massacre were used 60 times more when referring to Israelis versus Palestinians. Even when the Palestinian death toll passed tens of thousands. Even the word context, guys, even context was considered a bad word, as empathy for Palestinians felt utterly forbidden, says, whistleblowers inside NBC and MSNBC. Yet, the American and the international public still overwhelmingly supports a permanent ceasefire and conditioning of military aid to Israel and any nation that is committing war crimes. Hence the reason for the United States government's motivation to ban TikTok, which successfully, you guys, passed in the Senate 2 days ago on Wednesday. Biden said he will sign it. Authoritarianism is here. Biden, Trump, doesn't matter. The establishment, Dems, Republicans alike, are backing this draconian ban of the most popular social media app. We have elected officials saying that Gen Z has now become Gen T, as in for terrorists. Gen Z does not support terrorism or bin Laden, as they've been saying, and they are being smeared for that lately, as bin Laden's Why I Did It letter, written in 2001, was finally being read by and shared a lot via TikTok this past year, after it had been suppressed for decades by Western media. Bin Laden stated that U.S. support for what he said, quote, oppressive Israeli in their occupation of our Palestine, end quote, as his motive for the 9/11 attack. I condemn all of that. He said a lot of crazy shit in that letter too. I've read it. It is unhinged. That doesn't mean that he wasn't right on certain things and that he wasn't insane on many things, because both of those are true. Our kids are not supporting Hamas. They aren't supporting fucking bin Laden. They're wisely asking hard questions like, are several forever wars, over 2 decades of these? The answer: would Palestinian statehood have been a quicker path to peace than the fucking war on terror? Gen Z and the majority of Americans aren't motivated by Hamas or bin Laden or anti-Semitism. We are motivated, and I say we because I feel like we are motivated by the gruesome slaughter and daily images of slain, starving, homeless, and injured Palestinians. Over 15,000 slaughtered children, flattened schools, demolished colleges, hospitals, 90% of the homes of the infrastructure for regular civilian life, and dismembered human beings. Videos like the father collecting his children's body parts in a plastic bag. People are not sharing these images and videos because China. They're sharing these via our social media accounts because people feel morally compelled to do something to make it stop. However, the American media consensus and only response so far is blatant authoritarianism, censoring Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian American who is an elected official in our Congress, simply for saying and demanding, quote, freedom for Palestinians from the river to the sea, end quote. Congress passed a resolution defining anti-Zionism as anti-Semitism. One is a nationalist political ideology. The other one is, a long tradition of a religion, of a people. They're not the same. According to our very own freedom-loving American government, to criticize a foreign government is tantamount to a hate crime now. Doublespeak. Doublespeak. There can be a whole chapter in America's history books for this. Claiming he supports the two-state solution, President Biden vetoing the resolution this past week at the Security Council that backed full United Nations membership and statehood for essentially a two-state solution for Palestine. Now we have the explosive reports of mass graves being buried. Now, when I reread this to get ready for the show, that is not an intended pun. So I did not intend, but I see it now. So I will acknowledge it. I'll start over. Now, the explosive reports of mass graves being buried in our media to condemn our college students in their protests across the nation as hate protests, as pro-Hamas, and as what they've been doing all today and yesterday, straight up calling these brave students terrorists and terrorist supporters. It took our mainstream media a full week to acknowledge and report on the first 300 bodies found in mass graves in the southern city of Khan Yunis. Bodies of Palestinians who've been the victims of field executions. Many of them, I actually put a couple talking points for what we know is factual as of right now. Many of these human beings are still in hospital scrubs. We know that as of right now, there are 20 that the forensic, doctors are stating that at least 20 they were buried alive. We know as of right now that there are organs missing in many of these bodies. We know that there are field assassinations because their hands are bound, their feet are bound, they're undressed, and they have a bullet right between their eyes. And some of them are 15 years old. They use belts, cloth, clothes, etc. to tie them up. Many of these human beings have catheters and tubes. They have IVs. They have dialysis tubes still in their bodies. Children are in these mass graves. I know I said that, but it cannot be stated enough. You can't square that circle. Children cannot be part of field executions. Field executions by themselves are a war crime. We need forensic delegation. We need an independent forensic delegation. I think that it's required to investigate these mass graves. There are 3 of them now. There are over 700 and counting. The hundreds and hundreds of victims. 3 mass graves, like I said, 2 more around the Nassar Medical Complex. And they're just going to keep counting. It is unbelievable. Every day, I don't know why, maybe I'm just who I am, thinking They can't do anything more depraved. They cannot surprise me, and they fucking do. They do. It's just embarrassing. This part of our history, we're going to look back on it like we do Vietnam, like we did Iraq, but this time there's a genocide. And if I hear one more person say it can't be a genocide because of their birth rate, or it can't be a genocide because when there's a genocide, there's millions killed. Right. That is a genocide as well. And if we would have had the structure and the international law and people who gave us shit to step in before millions were killed, it would still be considered a genocide and attempted in real time, in process, genocide. Like, they have eliminated everything. Everything. And there are already 500 families who have signed up to help settle Gaza. Many of them have American accents, dual citizenship.
It's not the
I'm
least bit surprising.
no. It's sad. Sad doesn't even. There's not a word. I imagine, having kids and there's nothing you can feed them and they die of when 5 miles this way, all the food they could ever want. 2 miles that way, all the clean water and hospitals they could need. There are directors of hospitals, the hospitals where Hamas was using as a command center, directors who wouldn't leave, surgeons who wouldn't leave because they had patients and they took an oath. They're still missing. They're still missing. I think that there's no retribution of the killing of children and civilians by the killing of more children and civilians. As of today, the idea, Israel, with the backing of America and a few other allies, have taken that number from October 7th that was horrible. It was an atrocious a crime against humanity. They took that number and they've done 4 times and counting. We won't know because there are thousands under the rubble and many more mass graves, I'm sure. Just it's hard to research stuff like this, but I think that I couldn't talk about something else. How? I have been asked, why do you care so much about Israel? Other countries, right? They are, and I care about that, and I research and learn about it. But my government isn't funding that.
It's hard not to focus on it every single day, right? And I know that pretty much every time we've planned a show, I'm like, all right, I'm doing Gaza. Okay, I'm doing Gaza. Okay, I'm doing Gaza. Like every single time. Because there's nothing that's more worth talking about.
Well, there is a comment by Schmitty that says those kids will grow up to be Hamas, though. Okay, you have a point. However, there are videos of IDF soldiers who have stated and who have come forward and stated that they have been told this, that the terrorists of October 7th, which they did terrorism, were children that weren't eliminated from the Intifada. Like, so we just need to not have this ever happen again. Think about that. Like, how are you not broken? These children are obviously traumatized, and if the steps aren't taken to remedy that, to help fix that, to make it better, that is what's going to happen. And then you guys will do it again, and they'll do it again, you'll do it again, and it's never going to stop. they're morally bankrupt if they think we have to eliminate all of them so that this doesn't happen again. Like, ah,
Yeah.
the
Um,
two, like, if you were harmed by, let's say, a man, and you find out that he's married and has kids, and you just take them all out, that is fucked, and that's the ideology. Yeah, they will literally go arrest someone's 10-year-old and 14-year-old and hold them because they need to get a hold of the dad. Like, that's how they get them to come in. Are you kidding me? People would be outside jails, courthouses, and police stations if that happened here one time. Like, you can't. If I did a crime, Stacy's not going to be held for it. Ah,
no. And I don't know. I just feel like I have one more question for you.
okay.
We're gonna join
Oh,
the Gen Zers on the Skype call with Bin Laden and Satan after this. I've got Hitler texting me wanting to know.
yeah, definitely. We're gonna eat some babies, I think.
Oh yeah, that's at every meeting.
I can't. I can't. I can't. I. But there are no war crimes that have been committed because Israel's investigated themselves, and they say
I'm sorry.
that.
Are you military? Do you even know what a war crime? Are you are you a lawyer? Do you have the right credentials to have an opinion, Christy?
Apparently not. I have empathy and logic and critical thinking. Yeah.
That's just your feelings. Sorry, I think I agree with Ben Shapiro now. If you have feelings, well, facts don't care about feelings.
Yeah, he was a free speech absolutist as well until, except for Israel.
Well, yeah, weird. Weird how that goes.
Abbott from Texas, the University of Texas is having these crackdowns. They're arresting journalists and professors and students because he doesn't like the rhetoric.
Yeah,
There have been no arrests for violence, no charges of anti-Semitism. Matter of fact, 7 out of the 10 people who are being called out are Jewish, protesters there, or supporters of they're having interfaith prayers. They're having, you know, you're funny, America. Fuck yeah.
yep,
It's
love it.
He passed a law 3 years ago, Greg Abbott, because Milo Yiannopoulos and other
Oh,
far right, the students of these campuses were protesting them coming, which is their right. So he passed a law saying that everyone, because the First Amendment didn't go far enough, but like, uh, huh? He's,
yeah, inconsistent assholes. All right,
yeah, but
we
yeah,
gotta wrap it
yeah,
up, or we're gonna be late for that meeting with the Gen
yeah,
Zers and
yeah.
the ones from above. We love you guys so much. Thank you for joining us another Friday night. We should see you in a fortnight. Um, yeah, you guys are beautiful. Stay humanist and for Godless sake.
Yeah.